as promised, Ben Shapiro joining us for today's show. Ben, number one, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. We've got a bunch of questions we've wanted to ask you. I want to really, put on the scuba skier, dive down there and get some answers.
Alrighty, let's do this thing.
Let's do it. We're going to jump right into it. I love it. I want to start with the NBA Finals. Now, I know you were able to go and watch a certain Game 7. And look, the NBA, there's a lot of things off the court we can say that they've done over the past couple years. But this Finals matchups, I've got the Celtics riding hard with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus, I'm too smart, Al, I'm not a Horford. The whole team. I'm feeling good about the physicality and the length. How do you feel about the series?
So I was at Game 7 with the Heat, and it is clear that the Heat were just outmanned. I mean, they were clearly outmanned. But as a Celtics fan, right, I'm a lifelong Celtics fan. Mm-hmm. As a Celtics fan, this team makes me so nervous. I mean, it's just a gut check every single game. They should have taken Game 6. They should have taken Game 7 in quarter 2, basically. Yeah. I mean, the first quarter, they were blowing the Heat out of the building. Kyle Lowry had nothing. The only player on the Heat who was doing anything was Jimmy Butler. So it was basically Jimmy Butler, Bam, had a pretty good second half, but it was free throws keeping them in the game. But the Celtics just could not put it away, and that scares the living hell out of me because the problem is that if you can't put a team away, and particularly the Warriors who can put up a lot of points really quickly, a 13-point lead disappeared for the Celtics in the course of 2.5 minutes in the last part of Game 7. It was really gut-wrenching. And it was funny. I was watching all Miami fans leave with 3 minutes left in the game, and the Celtics up 13. And I thought to myself, this is not a smart move by you guys. Yeah. You guys should stick around for the end of this because the Celtics are like they're basically I haven't seen a team hang on and then just go to the finals and win. Like I think it's a rarity. Usually, it seems like the teams that are. I mean, they beat the Nets, fine. And then they barely hung on against the Bucks, missing Middleton. And they barely hung on against the Heat, who were really crippled. Mm-hmm. And now they're going into the finals against a pretty healthy Warriors team that just blew everybody out. So, the Warriors haven't seen any physical defense. I mean, they ran through the playoffs. They really had nothing. It lined up perfectly for them. Yep. So I think that the case for the Celtics is that they're tough. They have heart. They have been able to gut those things out. But they are such a nerve-wracking team. I mean, it is Marcus Smart. The whole team is kind of Marcus Smart. It's like you're either hitting threes or you're chucking up things from 75 feet down the court because, hey, you're Marcus Smart. Yeah. Like, it's Marcus Smart time. Marcus Smart. Like,
that's my thing, too. And you bring up being able to close out games. What the Warriors have been able to do in the third quarter, if they get up on you in the third quarter, the Warriors have been finishing people. And that experience late in games when you're down, even in the finals. And I know the Celtics have lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, haven't been there till now. And I love the hunger, and I'm still picking them. But that third quarter does kind of worry me.
The thing that worries me about the Celtics most is probably Jason Tatum and consistency. You play against this Warriors team, they're a lot better shooting team than the Heat. Let's not get this wrong. Heat is a phenomenal defensive team. That's the reason they're the number 1 seed. Sure. They're a phenomenal defensive team. They were banged up, and the Celtics were banged up too. Are you healthy enough to run a full 7-game series versus the Warriors? Because the Warriors right now are healthy. And I know this is a different Warriors team. I know there's no KD, but it's still the guys, right? It's still the guys. And it's funny to look at both these teams, and you can see how the NBA is trending to teams that are built and not bought. I mean, look at the Grizzlies. I mean, look at the Bucks. That's what it's turning into. Yeah. I go back to what Ben says. The one thing that scares me about the Celtics is they give up big leads. I almost don't believe in leads in the NBA anymore. I've seen 20-point leads go away like this. But there is one team I do believe in finishing games and finishing series when all your chips are in, and that's Steph Curry, that's Draymond Green, Klay Thompson.
Well, the Celtics figured out a way to contain Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Jimmy Butler. And defense does travel in the NBA. But my thing is they're going to be able to – I felt a lot better about the Celtics going into the Eastern Conference Finals than coming out. And the Warriors are going to put Andrew Wiggins on Jason Tatum. Okay, I think that's a huge move for them. And you combine the fact that Steph Curry has never won a Finals MVP, which I think he will win one before his time is done. I think that it's a recipe for the Warriors to win another championship.
I mean, I look at the Celtics, and what I saw is they're one shooter short. Yeah, right? They have 3 guys who can shoot the ball, and one of them in Smart is really inconsistent. Brown's a good shooter, and Tatum's a good shooter, but Horford was, if he's your 4th offensive option, you got a real problem on him.
Sure,
he can't be your 4th offensive option. And he's playing out of his mind. I mean, it's inspiring to watch the guy. As an old man myself now, by sports terms, it's good to see a guy who's like 2 years younger than I am, and he's still playing. He's playing well, but you can't count on who's their number 4 option.
Grant Williams has to ball. That's the thing that does worry me, Ben. If we're saying Grant Williams has to ball every game, that worries me a little bit. But the rebounding, and
Derek White, maybe. I mean,
Yeah. Maybe, but Robert Williams down low. I mean, can he dominate enough?
Robert Williams looked awful in Game 7. I
He
mean,
did.
He was so bad they had to pull
He's
him.
not. He's not offense. He's not going to score you boards and be the reason your offense. But Peyton Pritchard comes off the bench and does hit big shots at certain times.
One more point on Al Horford, though. His leadership and his maturity will be huge when you're going up against someone like Draymond Green, who just wants to poke at you and try and get you into technical foul trouble. I think that Al Horford could be one of the major reasons that Boston is able to pull out this series if they can.
Yeah. The one other thing I would say about Boston is they're a solid road team.
Yeah.
I mean, they won a bunch of games in Miami during this last series. They won some games in Milwaukee. So, you know, they don't. The home court doesn't seem to matter very much to them. And maybe that's because they're a good defensive team. But the fact that they, as you say, do travel well, you know, that, like, I think it's good. If I had to pick it right now, I'd say Warriors in 6.
Really?
Yeah. That's where I'd be.
That means they'd be winning in Boston. Game 6 and not even come back.
Yeah,
to
you'd still win early.
I'd not be surprised.
I do think, and Blaine made a really good point on the show yesterday, how these games are officiated is going to have a huge impact. Because if they let them get away with a lot, that helps the Celtics. Whether it's coming off screens, trying to slow Clay and Steph down, coming off screens is going to be key. You're never going to stop them. You can only hope to contain them. It's the Tupperware method.
Keep them off the free throw line.
Yes.
If you're the Celtics,
Very
keep them
true.
off. They are.
Yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, the refereeing was so inconsistent in that Game 7 that I was at. I mean, in the first half, the Celtics had 17 fouls called on them. They were in the penalty 2 minutes into the second quarter.
Yeah.
And so they got all these free. Like, if the refs decide to call it the way the NBA likes to call games that involve the Warriors, which is that every ticky-tack foul is a foul against the Warriors, and they're going to shoot 1 million free throws because you want to let Steph run around on the fringe and you want to let him heave up 30-footers, and that's good to watch, then it's going to be an ugly series for the Celtics. If they let the Celtics, you know, play it out and let some fouls occur and it turns into a war between Horford and Draymond, for example, that definitely benefits the Celtics.
I cannot agree more. Do you have a prediction, Finals MVP? If you're going Warriors in 6, I'm guessing you're probably picking a guy to win MVP from the Warriors.
I'd have to say it's going to be Steph, just because, not even if he's the second best guy, like who's going to vote for not
That's
him,
true.
right? I mean, like
That's true.
It's the old man time kind of thing. Like he's getting up there now, and he's going to get the tribute awards, and so I think that's the. If I had to put money on it, that's where I'd be putting.
And he doesn't have one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They're going to give him one.
That's true.
If you like that content, go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to be balling every day on Crain & Company. Hit that like button while you're at it, and go ahead and smash it like Derrick Henry on an ISO run.